We'll start with a review for this book, Rework. I'm gonna give this book 4 out of 5. First of all, just because it's short, I like it. It's about less than 3 hours worth of listening. Straight to the point, not a lot of bullshit or at all, just a little bit, as always, but straight to the point. Could be even fast paced, but it's good overall. Definitely some good advice. A little bit preachy at times, but overall, it's definitely good. There is some obvious ideas as usual, but some good packaging, which is important by itself. Good writing. Let's see the notes. Like evolution, we need to build on what works, not what didn't work. So we also have like evolution. We need evolution of ideas. We need to build on what works, not keep doing what's not. Don't listen to those who tell you it won't work. Everyone or some people will tell you it won't work. Just don't listen to them. Just a little bit problematic because sometimes they have a point. Premature expansion could hurt their business if you get prematurely trying to expand. Same thing happened. Recently happened to the company Oatly. They expanded too fast, which can create some problems. That doesn't mean it can go right, but it could pose a problem. Time is usually not a barrier. Doing it is. Usually people say I don't have time for that. Usually that's not the problem because you can always find time to do whatever you want. The thing is, doing it is usually the barrier. Raising money could be addictive, but also ties a noose around our neck because it's easy to raise money, but eventually we're not making the decisions, and that ties a noose around our necks. Thinking about the exit is not a good path forward, as most people miss what they started. Some people start a company just in order to exit, but usually they miss what they started and they usually can get it back. Meetings are expensive since 1 hour is basically 10. He recommends against unless it's absolutely necessary. Because what happened is 1 hour is not 1 hour worth of work, it's 10 hours because there's 10 people working there and there's a little bit more and after, so it could be even more. Another problem with meetings is that they go by half an hour to an hour with nothing in between. No one schedule a meeting for 7 minutes or 20 minutes. I guess 20 minutes they do, but they usually go like by blocks, and that takes more time than needed. You waste half of your ad money. The problem is you don't know which half. That's a known thing. I should have put in the quotes. It's a known idea that you waste half of it. The problem is you don't know which half, which also emphasize the point that marketing is a little problematic. Don't be afraid of sharing. It's not easy to copy things. If you want to share as much as you can. He recommends for sharing social media, whatever you want to do, because copy is not easy. Just doing it is usually the problem, is the barrier, as we said. Marketing is not just one department, it's everywhere. There's not just a marketing department, it's everywhere. Every department, every person who works there, every website is a marketing opportunity. Try to do it yourself before hiring someone. That will show you what is the best way. You will learn who can do it, who cannot. And you'd also learn sometimes you can just do it yourself. Excuse me. Hire slowly in order to avoid everyone being overly polite like a cocktail party. That's what happened in a cocktail party. Everyone are talking about the weather, about neutral things. No one is giving honest feedback. And that's what happens if you hire too fast. So you have to have kind of a culture. People should feel free to share feedback. Quote, I never let my schooling interfere with my education. LOL. That's a great quote, I think. Do not let schooling interfere with your education, which basically says that education is BS. A good way to know a good candidate is by their cover letter, because resumes are easy, but if a cover letter is written well, that's when you know a candidate is good. Which is also interesting. If you are applying, you should write a good cover letter. You can't install a culture. It's what you do. Just deciding in advance what is the culture doesn't work. It's the actual culture. You can't install it. After a change, outrage is to be expected, but should not rush us into reverting. So it's usually people get outraged after a change, especially if it's a big change, but that should not rush us into making or backtracking what the change was. The next one is not trusting your employee is costly, because that if you want to track your employee, that's costly by itself. Obviously, there is a limit of how much you should trust, but you need to know that it is costly. Both by not trusting them, they know it, they feel it, and also monitoring costs money. It's okay to be less formal. It doesn't, especially in like writing and especially internally. It's okay to need to be less formal. Next one is save ASAPs for true emergency. People use it too leniently. You said that you use it to absolute emergencies. And the last one, when you're high on inspiration, you can get a lot of work done. You can do one day could be a full week worth of work when you're high on inspiration, and which is a good point. Especially you said like it doesn't matter if it's a Friday. Work on that inspiration. It's you're gonna lose it. It's just a great point. Sometimes I have it, and I'm gonna do it the next day, and then you lose it. And when you're high on inspiration, that's a lot of power and motivation. Anyway, that's for the notes. Definitely an interesting book, especially if you're interested in business and managerial positions and such. So just also, if not, just an interesting view of how things work or how to get better. So 4 out of 5. Thank you.